Hey everybody, welcome along. Watercolour Wednesday resumes. Let me know if you're there, say hello, tell me where you're joining from. It's great to be back. And we're going to be creating these wonderful loose poppies. So you can relax, have some fun in the sun. Say hi, let me have some comments coming up to make sure I can see it and that you can hear me. Hello from Berlin, Sabrina. You're the first to comment, well done. And there's Pamela from Suffolk. Hi Diane. Wonderful guys. I was a bit late posting this event, so I don't think so many people will be joining. Oh, from Nottingham, I think you mean Nottingham, Gian. Watching but painting later. Lovely. And Sarah from Staffordshire. This is a lovely one to do. I really love loose style work. We're going to be introducing, you've not been on since lockdown, from Sheffield. Oh, good to have you, Jane. Christine Ingram. Hello, Christine here. Fabulous. And another one. There's Ellen. Hey, you're all waking up. 3 minutes in. Wonderful. Hello from Jack, Timothy, Noah, Joseph and Julietta from Bedworth. Great to have you all along. Please share your pictures if you're going to paint along. Even if you paint later, all you have to do is come back into the event and you can write your comment in now. You can post your pictures. Sunny Castle, Bytham, near Stamford. Oh, you're not too far away. My doggy is fine. She's recovered really well. It was a high cost, but thankfully the insurance have paid out, or are about to pay out. She's got to go for another operation on the 7th of July, but it's much smaller. So, yeah, all's good. Hello, Patricia from the USA. And Martina's joined as well. Excellent. Okay, let me tell you what we're going to do today and what I'm using. Here's one I did this morning. I love creating these. The one that I showed you on screen sold recently, so I haven't got that one. So I quickly did another one for you. Let me move this out of the way. And I have my watercolour paper stretched down to the board. Portishead, Bristol. Ah, you're the lady who asked me a question earlier. What am I using? Okay, so I've got my 300 gram watercolour paper. Just as a reminder, the paper I use has been produced for me in conjunction with Bockingford. You can buy this paper, it's really strong. I soak it for 10 minutes. And then I tape it down to the board and leave it overnight. That's the best way to stretch your paper. Thank you, Deb. Yeah, she's 9. She's a Jack Russell though, so she's got another 9 years left in her. So that's the paper I'm using. Oh, I didn't put any tape round for a pretty edge. Oh, never mind. Too late now. I'm also going to be using some Indian ink. Let me show you this one with its lid on rather than try and show you the one with the lid off, or we might have to stop recording. So I sell this too. This is a little bottle of Indian ink. If you haven't got Indian ink, don't worry. You can get a similar effect in some ways with your fine line ink pen, so you could use one of those, or just use your black if you've got black watercolour. And obviously I'm going to be using reds. I'm going to be using some vermilion red. Where's my paint palette? Vermilion red. I've got a bit of carmine here, which is a dark red. And I've got some yellow, primary yellow, lemon yellow. That's it colour-wise. Now the ink, I'm going to be playing around with my nib pens. Okay, so this is really a calligraphy set. Again, if you want some of these products, the bamboo sticks, the nib pens, the ink, all available on my website, comparable with Amazon price-wise. Service is much better, with a smile. Okay, so I'm going to be using both of these tools and my size 12 watercolour brush, and a big brush for putting on water, because I'm going to use quite a lot of water today. I think that's everything. I think I've gone through everything. Any more questions? No? We're ready to start? Okay. Now, if I just bring that picture back a second, what I want to create is this soft, loose background using very diluted colours, wet onto the paper, and then as I'm going to dry that off and then create the poppies over the top. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Let's get started. Whoops, I'm dropping everything. Okay, so I'm just going to take my large brush and wet one side of my paper. I'm kind of having it clean one side and with a blurry background the other. So I'm just taking water, spreading that over. Now we are in very seasonal hot weather at the moment, so you'll find your paper dries quite quickly. So that's done. And let's go mix some colours. I've got my poppy bowl today. I thought that would be appropriate. The reason I chose this today is as I'm driving along in the countryside here, I'm seeing poppies everywhere. So I thought, what a great one to do. So I'm going to take my vermilion red, add some water, because I want this quite diluted. I'm just going to literally drop some splodges, just rolling my brush around over the paper. I'm actually just twisting it, look. Just twist it around, get some colour down. Just decide where you want that to go on the wet side of your paper, and you should see it bleeding out into the water, creating lovely patterns all by itself. I'm going to take a bit of lemon yellow and pop in to make more of an orange. Whoops, clean my brush, pick up some yellow, a bit more zesty, and pop that down as well. Okay. I'm only going where the paper's been pre-wet. A little bit stronger red. Let's go for some more colour down the bottom. Really hold that brush nice and loose in your hands. And then here and there, I'm just going to tap my brush down and leave some little deposits of stronger colour. And they'll just bleed out into the water alongside. I'm going to take a bit more clean water and come around the edge of this pattern just to make sure I don't get any crispy lines, and it just carries on bleeding out gently towards the edge. Okay, let's have some fun. I'm going to pick up a bit more of my red, pop it in another well with a bit of water, and I'm going to do a few splatters. Just hold your brush level with the paper, give it a little tap. And because the paper's very wet, you should see those marks as they land. Oops, I got a bit where I didn't want it. I'll just lift that out. They'll just bleed out and give you kind of diffuse shapes, like it's the background of a photo where the detail's sharp and the background's diffused. Okay, you can put some more yellow in that if you want, but I think that colour's about right. So now I need to dry this off. So bear with me whilst I just give it a little dry with a hairdryer. Very gentle to start. That should be dry enough. Now we're going to create our poppies. Okay, so I'm going to take the same colour, my vermilion. You could mix this up, and I'm going to add some other reds later, but I'm going to start with my vermilion. The paint's kind of 50-50 water to paint, so it's like milk consistency. And here we go. I'm going to use my brush on the length of the bristles. I'm just going to create some shapes. Just tapping down and using the point of the brush to direct the edge of the petal. Now my background's still a little bit damp, so I'm getting a bit of bleeding going on, but that's fine. I don't mind that. I'm going to come again. Let's have a petal that's coming down here, and notice how I use the tip of the brush to shape the edge of the petal. Coming back in towards the middle. Every time I do these, they come out slightly different. I'm trying to keep the same sort of design as before, but watercolours do have a mind of their own. So using the tip of that brush just to shape some frilly edges to my poppy, I'm pulling that paint around. Have another little petal over the other side, and you can see I've left some gaps between the flower, so you can see the background colour coming through. And now I'm going to add some more colour to that flower. That's just one colour at the moment, so I'm going to take my carmine or crimson red. Can you see that? Let me turn that round. It's much darker, it's a cooler colour. I'm going to pop that into my puddle with the vermilion, and whilst this is still wet, I'm just going to drop some of this bluer, stronger colour into those petals, just using the tip of the brush. Let's have some on the back of that petal, the one that's facing away from us. Keep it nice and loose. Don't try and control it too much. I'm just taking a bit of water around the edge of this petal because I want it to bleed out a little bit more, so we can encourage the paint to bleed or stay where it is depending on the paper and what stage it's at. Okay, let's bring another poppy in. I'm going to come up here now, and some of this is going to go onto the dry paper, the plain paper, just pushing up on that brush, creating a petal. Now this is going to be awkward. I usually turn my page around. Let's see if I can. There we go. Spin it around. I'm going to come the other way. I'm going to touch into the petal before, so we get those two to join. There we go. And another one coming off the side. See if I can do this with my right hand. Oh my God, I'm left-handed. I'm trying to do this with my right hand. Oh my goodness, that feels so uncomfortable. Okay, so we've got that one in. I'm going to add a bit of yellow to this one. I'm going to drop a bit of yellow in. Wet into wet. Just to get some different colours in the different flowers. Now, with this little poppy, I want some more bleeding to happen over here. So I'm just going to use my water for that. Here we go. Wet brush. I'm going to creep in towards the poppy I've just painted with clean water. And then let it touch down. Whoa, watch that fly out. As you touch into that damp paint, it will bleed out. Okay, just to keep it nice and loose. I'm going to do the same round the other side of this petal. Bit of clean water, creep up on your unsuspecting flower, and then just touch in, and it will just bleed out. Then you can encourage that puddle that's broken away to bleed where you want it just by playing with clean water. There we go. Fabulous. I don't know what happened here. My paper was still very wet up there. I'm going to do the same to this one. Bit of clean water. It's still damp, just to get that colour to bleed out. I don't want too many solid lines today. Let's bring my palette back. We're going to do another big poppy. So I'm using my vermilion predominantly as my first layer. Now let's come in here, using the edge of the brush again to shape my poppy. Coming around to that big petal at the bottom. Now I'm going to try and leave some paper showing on this one. I'm going to leave some light coming through these delicate poppies. I'm struggling this side because I'm left-handed and I can't really turn my page. So let's try right-handed, supported by my left hand. That looks very awkward, doesn't it? There we go, another glorious petal. Bit more paint in my water, and I'm going to come up the top, just using the shape of the brush to dictate the shape of my petal. I'm going to leave some of the colour underneath showing through here and there. Okay? Fabulous. Are you all following okay? I'm going to pause for a moment. Give you a chance to catch up. I'm going to make this petal a bit bigger. Okay, let's drop some more colour in. I'm going to go back to my lemon yellow again and just drop some yellow, wet into wet, into some of those petals. Encourage it to mix. Just use the tip of your brush to agitate it. Encourage that to mix together. Lovely. Now I'm ready to add the other red, to take that crimson, that carmine, into my puddle. I don't want it on its own, I find it a little bit too strong. So mixing it with the carmine and just tapping in now, just tap in some darker areas around the edge of this petal. Just tap that on and let it do its thing. Let it bleed and play with the colours underneath. Marvellous. Marvellous! Shall we do another one down here? What do you think? I think so. Let's pop one over this side. Make it a bit different from before. Going to have a big petal out the back. Imagine this one, that's the back petal, and then bring some more petals around the side. Now remember, our background's dry, so these colours, because of the beautiful translucent nature of watercolours, you're getting a stronger colour with one colour seen through another. I'm going to overlap this poppy, why not? I'm going to take this one over the top of that one. It's dry now. Okay, let's have a bit more of a shape coming across here too. So easy to do and so pleasing. Imagine creating your own gift cards with this. Not using your dominant hand, absolutely. The reds are beautiful, aren't they? And this is coming from my set of colours. Okay, so they are expensive, okay, because they're handmade. But if you want to invest in some beautiful, rich watercolours, then check out my handmade sets. You can either buy a set of 14, I've got a couple of extra colours in here, or you can buy them individually. Just try one or two colours and see what you think of them. Okay, I'm going to take some carmine, again, darkening up some areas of my poppy. I want that one to be a bit darker because it's going over the top of the one behind it. So I want that to sit forward. And in the middle of my poppy, I'm going to make it dark. So just tapping in, wet into wet, a little bit of stronger colour and letting it bleed out. Okay, just playing around now, having a look back over as these start to dry, seeing if I want to put any more strength of colour in. I think that's enough. Now I want to show you a neat little trick. You know, poppies have those lines through them, through the petals. Use something sharp. Now I'm going to use my bamboo dip pen. It's got a nice pointy edge. You could even use your tube watercolours. Let me grab one. So if you're using tubes, you could use that end of your paint as a sharp edge or a paper clip. I don't want you to press too hard, but whilst that paint is damp, I can't do it on this one because it's dried, I'm going to scratch some lines into the flower. You know, you really should do this whilst the paint's still damp and still moving. Just scratch in and score in. Don't press too hard. Don't tear your paper. There's nothing on my pen. It's clean. Just putting some lines in, and I want you to watch carefully what happens in those lines. The paint, because it's still damp, still moving, goes in to those grooves. I'm going to bring this up closer to the camera. Where's my camera? So hopefully I'll wait 10 seconds for Facebook to catch up so I know I'm holding it in the right place. You can see these little lines where the paint goes into the grooves that you've created and creates a little puddle. Okay, there we go. That's probably better if I hold it towards the light. You get these little lines without doing any hard work. Okay, now whilst these are still damp, I need to move on. I'm going to pour some of my ink out, and with my bamboo pen, whilst the flower's still damp but not wet, I'm going to go in to the middle of my poppy and just tap down the centre. Now you don't want your paper too wet, otherwise the black will continue to spread, okay? So you want it just damp so you get some movement, some bleeding through the poppy. Now this one I'm going to do in little dots. I'm going to leave some highlights, leave some gaps. Now you can see, particularly in the one that I've just finished painting, that black is just bleeding out. Now if you don't have the black, then then use your black watercolour, or you could use a fine liner pen, but fine liners don't like the wet of the paper so much, so it kind of clogs up and stops flowing. So just mix up a dark colour, mix all your primaries together if you haven't got black, to make a really dark colour. So this one's dry, so the dots and marks I'm making are just going to sit there, they're not going to bleed. Just creating that centre of the flower. And you could also, if your work is dry, because it's such a hot day, I could take a little bit of water and just come up around the edge of that black, just to give it somewhere to look like the others, and then add another couple of blobs of black over the top. Now doesn't that look beautiful? Who can resist watercolours when they look like this? Okay, now, whoops, I'm going to use my finer nib pen. I could carry on with the bamboo. I'm going to come back to the bamboo in a minute. I'm going to go into the ink whilst it's still damp and scratch it out. I'm creating those lines again that go up the poppies, just flicking out a little bit of black. Oh, too much. I've got a bleed now. I'm just going to take a bit of tissue, I'm not going to panic, and lift that Indian ink out a bit. Now, Indian ink is a bit of a devil. It doesn't like being lifted out, and when it dries it's permanent. You can't lift it out. I'm just re-wetting that to lift a bit of that ink out. Whilst it's wet, you can. See, things go wrong for everybody, even me. And I'm going to take a bit of red back in there, just because I got a bit too carried away with my ink. There we go, that's it, fixed. Okay, actually let's stick with the bamboo. Now you could go out in your garden and just pick up a twig and sharpen it with a craft knife. So I want to bring a few stems through. I'm just going to do these really loose and just stroke through. Now I'm going to use my other pen. I prefer this one, I get a finer line. My petal was still wet, so I've got another bleed. Oh my goodness, Eunice, what are you doing? But never fear, soak it up, go back to my red and make a little repair. Don't you just love it when I go wrong? Okay, here we go again. Now you could of course use a fine brush if you haven't got any sticks, but this gives you a nice way to get a neat line. And just a few stems. Coming away from our flowers. So I can't wait to see. It's still fab, thank you. I'm not sure it is. But it's pretty. It's pretty. Now I'm going to dry this off again before I have any more disasters today. I'm going to dry that. Here we go. Big blousy poppies. Look how strong the colour is in my paints. Oh, thank you, Paranita Roy. Yes, you've been on before. I recognise your name. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Apologies. Okay, back to my pen. Let's just say you can use any sharp implement. And I'm just going to add. Oh, thank you. Someone's just made a donation. Thank you very much. Don't forget you can buy me a coffee. So I'm just going to come around some of these petals. I'm not necessarily going to draw around them all. Just a few accents here and there. A few lines. In fact, I think it looks better when you skip parts of the petals and just keep it loose. This is Indian ink over the top. Okay, now this one, this petal kind of ran away from me. It bled out, but I can reshape it with a bit of ink to suggest where that petal would have ended. Keep it loose. Hold your brush nice and free. I'm going to bring a few lines up the back of this petal. And in we go again. can see how I'm not necessarily going round lines. I'm going to bring a few more black ink lines coming out from the middle on that one. But can you imagine these? Sending this to a friend, someone that you've not seen due to lockdown, and just send them something saying you're thinking of them. Wonderful. And this one that's overlapping. With your pen as well, look where I'm holding it, back up the shaft of the pen. I don't want to come down here because that's when I know I'm getting too controlled, too controlling. Maybe add a few more stems coming up. And that's how you do a nice loose poppy painting. What do you think? Are you having success? Now, just a few reminders, okay, about what you're doing and when to do things. Make sure that initial wash that you put down, that background wash that you put down, dries first before you start building your poppies. And just use that edge of your brush to create the shapes. I'm going to add a little bit more colour to this poppy, just to make it stand away from that background. That's it, just a simple couple of dots in that darker red, a bit of darker red, and then some water so it can spread out, spread its wings. There we go, our poppies. So I'm glad you all missed me last week. Thank you, Lee. Thanks, Diane. It's a nice simple one to get me back in the saddle. If you have some suggestions for next week, let me know. Maybe we'll do some more flowers. I feel in a flowery mood, what can I say? Now on your screen you can see the words at the bottom, over 70 classes to pay and play. I've now got 70 classes just over on my on-demand page. So if you want to go over to my website, go to the on-demand, you can click, you get sent a PDF which contains a link for you to view the videos. So you can choose from previous lessons that I've done, you know, the 4 lessons. I'm just going to give you a little taster of what's on there. Also, don't forget to hit the support me button. I'm going to post that in the comments now whilst this is playing, and then I'll be back in a moment to tell you one last piece of exciting news. Where's my button? I can't find it. Let me just go to the laptop. Sorry guys, really am rusty, aren't I? I shouldn't have a week off. On demand. Can you hear me now? Oh, no sound. Ah, it's back. Sorry guys. Oh my goodness, what am I like? So, what I was saying was, my studio is now open. And for those of you that are local, maybe you've not been to my real life classes before lockdown, check out my class booking page and you can see what I've got coming up. The class size is going to be limited to 6 people for now, until we hear otherwise from the government. Everything there's hand sanitizers, the tables are cleaned down, everything's as it should be, but you get to have the joy of me leaning over your shoulder, which I can't do on Zoom. So it's exciting news. I had 4 people in yesterday doing the pastel element, and it was wonderful for me to go and interfere and help them, I hope help them with their work. So if you're local, if not, make a day trip, come and see me. It would be wonderful to have you along. Now, thank you guys. When you need art products, check out my website. Thank you so much. It's been a joy to share this with you. Post your pictures. I want to see them. I'll be waiting. And I will see you next Wednesday at 1. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.